So the next word is routine. Yes? What is routine? Is it a noun or adjective? Verb or adverb? Routine. Routine is, what is it? Adjective, okay. Like what?
Repeat. Repeat.
Something that's repeated. Routine activities, right? Routine work means like daily repeated actions, routine tasks. But routine is also a noun. I need to change my routine. Everything is so what? Everything has become so dead and routine.
Same.
So when things become so routine, you have a routine life. Some people enjoy it. Some people don't want to disturb the routine. They love it. Like doing exactly the same things every day. That's your daily routine. Some people love it. For 20 years, 30 years, you see they do exactly the same things. They wake up at the same time, they do the same thing, they order the same thing when they go to Starbucks or whatever. They always read the same newspaper, they watch the same channels, they do the same work, meet the same people, yeah, at a special time and all that. So some people love routine life, routine work, routine everything. And they don't want anything to disturb their routine. Yeah? Sometimes I need to change my routine. I need to change my routine. This routine means a routine schedule, routine work. Yes? Schedule, work, and the daily tasks, and chores. You know, chores, daily chores, are the things that we do, the tasks that we do daily around home.
Cleaning.
Yeah, you know, especially the routine around home is very boring. Doing the same things over and over again, cleaning, washing, sweeping, vacuuming, dusting. That's the routine. Do you like routine work, or do you like change in your life all the time? Some people like routine, some people like change. And we also have routinely. So if you say he never changed his routine, routine would be a noun. But routine work, daily. We use simple present in grammar to talk about daily routine. He goes usual activities, right? Habitual things that are routine. She routinely gets a physical examination. Routinely does it. It is routine for students to become homesick at times. Well, but I want to give you more examples with the routine because it's a beautiful word. Let me see. Routine. As a noun, let's take a look at it. John's departure had upset their daily routine. Try to get into a routine, daily exercise routine. That's a matter of routine, a dance routine. Yeah? So something that would disturb or change your daily routine. An adjective. Maybe better words when it comes to adjective. Better examples. Routine maintenance work, or routine operation. Routine inquiries. You should not worry, these are routine questions that they ask you. Routine is easy. Next word is sufficiently. Sufficient, sufficiently. That's a good word. Yeah. You know the word sufficient? What is sufficient? What is sufficient? Sufficient is adjective, right? What is a noun? Is there a verb? Adverb would be sufficiently. The verb is to suffice. The noun is sufficiency. For example, we have self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency. And we also have self-sufficient, which is different from sufficient itself. Now, if something is sufficient, it would mean it is. If something is sufficient, it is enough. Yes? Enough. We have sufficient sugar. It is sufficient. Sufficient supplies of sufficient supplies of sugar. If something is sufficient, that's enough. Is it sufficient? Is this enough? I think that's sufficient. I think that's enough. It's self-sufficient and self-sufficiency. If a country is self-sufficient, Japan is a self-sufficient country. It means it's self-sufficient. It is sufficient for itself. It can take care of all its needs. It doesn't need any other country. So, economic self-sufficiency. When a country reaches to reach economic self-sufficiency, right? It's important for countries to reach the point of self-sufficiency, that they are sufficient themselves. They don't need anyone else. Is it sufficient? So I want you to use the word sufficient. You know what? In writing, you should always paraphrase for IELTS. Paraphrasing, a big, important part of IELTS. What is paraphrasing? Or TOEFL, or TOEIC, or any other test. It means using other words. So, to paraphrase, or to rephrase, or reword. When you paraphrase in IELTS, or TOEFL, or TOEIC, or CAE, or reword something, it means you change the words. You use synonyms. Using synonyms, right? Using synonyms. What do you do when you paraphrase? You use other words. You use synonyms. If somebody says enough, you should use the word sufficient. And of course, when you're writing formal letters, formal correspondence, formal writing, you use higher words. You don't write enough. Instead of enough, you write sufficient. The schools are sufficiently equipped. The schools are sufficiently equipped with the latest technology, right? The latest technology or technological devices. Technology. Technology or technological devices. They are sufficiently equipped. Jenny is sufficiently mature to make her own decisions. She is sufficiently, oh, let's say Jane is sufficiently mature to make her own decisions. Sufficiently mature. See, using verbs, adverbs for adjectives. She's sufficiently mature. Sufficient. Sufficient. And also self-sufficient. A 15% tip is sufficient. Yeah? Her health has improved sufficiently. That's a good example. Her health has improved sufficiently. Her health has improved sufficiently. Make sure that the temperature is sufficiently cool or sufficiently hot. It's sufficiently cool. The temperature is sufficiently cool or hot. It depends. It's enough, it's hot enough. It's cool enough. Make sure that it's hot enough or cool enough. We say it's sufficiently cool, sufficiently hot. Do you have sufficient supplies? Sufficient supplies. Sufficient supplies of sugar. Sufficient enough. More examples. Sufficient savings. Sufficient savings. Do you have sufficient savings to go on a trip? Sufficient savings. Amazing. Sufficient funds. The government does not have sufficient funds at this point to support the project or to complete the project. If something is not sufficient, there's a lack of it, you know, lack of. The project came to a stop, came to a halt for lack of sufficient funds, So lack of something, lack of, or shortage of. I want you to learn this. Shortage of funds. The project had to stop due to lack of funds. Due to shortage of funds. Lack of food. Lack of water. Shortage of food. Shortage of water. Water shortage. Food shortage. Power shortage. Energy shortage. Lack of. Now, another word that's close to sufficient is adequate. Do you know the word adequate? Now, suffice, first of all, let's take a look at so suffice is a verb. How would we use it? Do you think this much would suffice? Hmm? So suffice is the verb. Do you think this much would suffice? Does this suffice? Does this suffice? Means, is this enough? Is this enough? Would it suffice? Would it suffice to? And suffice it to say also. Would it suffice to? And we also have suffice it to say. Suffice it to say. This is an expression. Suffice is verb. No, you don't need to write a letter. A phone call will suffice. That's very good. You don't need to write a letter. You don't need to write a letter. A phone call will suffice. Will it suffice to just make a phone call? Yes, a phone call will suffice. Her example alone should suffice to show that anything is possible. Suffice to say, or suffice it to say, first the car wouldn't start, and then I got stuck in traffic. Suffice it to say, there was no way I could get here on time. Suffice it to say, Darby's the best manager I've ever seen.
Really?
He's amazing. He's very friendly and very helpful and very straight and very understanding. All of them together. So suffice it to say means it's only enough to say, it's enough to say that he's the best manager I've ever seen. For example. Suffice it to say that something. So suffice it to say, or suffice to say, we usually say suffice it to say. It's like a phrase. Suffice it to say, it's like a clause, because it has a subject and verb. A phone call will suffice. Will this suffice? We would say, will something suffice? Will something suffice? Means, is it sufficient? Will it suffice to send him a letter, an email, or should I call him too after that? No. You'll be just fine. In conversation, we say a letter will do. A letter will do. A letter will do. This will do in conversation. Oh, no, that's okay. That'll do. Means that's enough. That will do. That does the job. That'll do means that does the job in conversation. So, suffice is a good word to know. It's good to remember. Other words that would come with sufficient and suffice would be adequate. Adequate is like sufficient. They're not adequate supplies. Adequate. Have you heard the word adequate before? You must know this word. Adequately. It's a must. If something is not adequate, it is, let me write it here, inadequate. Inadequate means not enough. Inadequate. So we have adequate and inadequate. Like sufficient. Adequate supplies. Be sure to allow adequate time to finish the project. Be sure to allow. So I would say allow adequate time to finish in time. So adequate time means enough time. If you allow adequate time, it means you consider adequate time. Please allow adequate time to finish the test on time. When you're writing for IELTS, you have 40 minutes to write an essay. Be sure to allow adequate time to edit your writing. At least 3-4 minutes to proofread and edit. At least 4 or 5 minutes. You need 4 or 5 minutes to proofread, to edit and proofread, to check for mistakes. So be sure to allow adequate time. The food was more than adequate. The food was more than adequate. For the 6 of us. For the 6 of us. More than adequate. More than something is like a kind of way of saying things. More than happy. I'll be more than happy to see you. You want to emphasize. I'll be more than happy to see you. I'll be more than happy to see you on Friday. It's just that John is coming, and sorry I can't make it. But I'll be more than happy to do it. I'll be more than happy to do it. I'll be more than happy to help. So more than happy, it doesn't mean happier. It means, it's a way of, because say she's happy, he's happier. But I'll be more than happy to do something, it's a kind of expression. That's more than enough. So we have more than adequate, we also have more than enough. Right? You say, is this enough? That's more than enough. Thank you. In a positive way, not in a bad way. Not in a negative way. So something is more than enough. So the food was more than enough for the 6 of us. It wasn't just enough, it was more than enough. So like we said, sufficient supplies, adequate supplies. Adequate supplies of food. Adequate supplies. Adequately provided, adequately fed, adequately. So we don't have enoughly, right? Adequately equipped school. Adequately fed kids. They've had enough food. Adequately. So are you adequately prepared for the exam? Are you prepared enough? Adequately prepared for the exam. I am adequately prepared for the exam. You must know the word adequate. It's a must. It's an essential word. Adequate, adequately. So, she wasn't adequately insured. Adequate. If something is inadequate, means not enough. Inadequate supplies. Inadequate. Like we have. Inadequate supplies. So the project had to stop due to inadequate supplies, due to lack of supplies. Are you adequately informed? Means, are you informed enough? Do you know all the information? Do you have all the information adequately? But the words inadequacy and insufficiency, they have a slightly different meaning. Have you ever heard inadequacy or insufficiency? These are a little big, but they're good to know. The manager was fired. The manager was, either you can say fired or replaced. Because of charges of inadequacy, because of his inadequacy. Inadequacy. Insufficiency. So if you're inadequate managers, inadequate people, and inadequate director, or insufficient director and manager, is incapable, incompetent, This is an E. He was fired or replaced because of his inadequacy, insufficiency, incompetence. Incompetence. You know competence? A competence manager, director, and an incompetent. And we have competence, and incompetence. Everybody admired his competence. A competent and capable. You know, a capable. What is a noun? Capability. Capable of doing something. Capable of doing something. Incapable. Incapable of doing something. Or capable to do something, or of doing something, or to do something. Very important words. He's not capable of doing that. He's not capable of lying. He is not capable of even lying. Means I'm not capable of lying means I can't tell lies. But if you're not a capable person, it means you are not able. You're a weak person. If somebody's incapable, and we have capability and incapability, a very capable, strong manager, director. So he's a very capable person. I admire Mako for her capabilities. She can sit in a class with a splinter in her finger and smile. So, a manager with immense, remember the word immense? Capabilities. I would write a manager with immense, a manager with immense capabilities. A young manager with immense potential. Potential. You know potential? Potential is the ability that's inside. Now we have to activate it. We have to make it active. See, this young man has a lot of potential. He has a lot of potential. So this young man has a lot of potential. This young man has a lot of potential. Has a lot of potential. This school has a lot of potential for hundreds of students. Hopefully in the summer, when it gets warmer. He's a man of immense capabilities. I admire his, when you admire someone's capabilities. A competent manager, very competent, and it means a strong manager, right? He's very competent and has many capabilities. And everyone admires his competence. His competence. Please learn these words. Everyone admires his competence. But he was fired because he was very incompetent. An incompetent manager or director can make a business go bankrupt. Yeah, the business fails if the manager is incompetent. If he's incapable. Incapable. Incapability. Incapable. You know, capable, incapable. Competent, incompetent. Competence, capability. Potential. Sufficient, we have the word sufficient. Adequate. Sufficient supplies, enough supplies. Adequate supplies. Sufficiently, adequately. Sufficient resources for something. Speaking of competent and competence, guys, you know the word strong, right? Strong is the noun. What is with the adjective, right? What is a noun for strong? Strong. What is the noun? I admire your strong? No. I admire your
Strongness.
strongness. What is a better word for strongness? Somebody. Anybody. Strength.
Strength.
I admire your strength. So, I admire your strength. Everyone has strengths. And what is the opposite of strengths?
Weakness.
Weaknesses, yes. Thank you. Weaknesses. It means weak points. Right? We have strengths and weak points. We should know our weak points and our strengths. Our weakness and our strength. So weakness, strength. Weak points, strengths. Do you know your strengths? So if I say I know my strengths, it means my strong points. Usually when we grow up and when we become mature, you know mature? We get to know about our weak points and also strengths. We should so everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Great. One last word for today would be visible. Of course. What is the opposite of visible?
Invisible.
Invisible. So visible, the opposite of invisible. What is the noun for this? Visibility and invisibility. Can you make a sentence with visibility? Visibility. We have in extreme weather conditions. Such as snowstorms. Visibility nears zero. Nears, that is, reaches almost zero. So we have zero visibility conditions. Zero visibility conditions. Or we have low visibility conditions. When you're driving and it's snowing very hard, do we have high visibility or is it low visibility? Are things, it's low visibility. Things are visible or invisible. Of course, the invisible man, yeah, it's always, historically men always wanted to be invisible to do crazy things. Mako, what would you do if you could be invisible? Would you go rob a bank?
Yes.
Yes? See? I appreciate your honesty. Truly appreciate your honesty. Have you heard this? I keep saying it, I appreciate your honesty. When someone says something like that, say, I appreciate your Honesty. I appreciate your honesty. So, visibility. Low visibility conditions. Where we have, for example, blizzards. You know blizzard? We have talked about weather, but we'll do it all over again. So, blizzard is like a very hard snowstorm. Snow is in your face, and that's a blizzard. So when you're driving and there's a blizzard, what happens? We have near zero visibility conditions. We have near zero visibility conditions. It means the drivers can't see anything ahead of them. And very dangerous, right? People get into accidents and all sorts of things. Now we have visibly. Invisibly. Now, his health has visibly improved. Or has improved visibly, both. What does that mean? It has visibly improved. It means you can see that. When somebody had a fever and the skin was yellowish and things, and now you see that the person is not pale anymore, looks better. So you say, no, you have visibly improved. His health has visibly improved. It's visible. I can see that. Now, something that we can see is visible, right? And something we cannot see is invisible. People like to become invisible. Now, what about things that we can hear? So we have visible, invisible. How about the things that I can hear? And something that I cannot hear. Is my voice audible or inaudible? So if something is audible, you can hear it. His voice was not audible. It was very low, I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear him, so it was not audible. Something I can drink. Something I can eat. If I can eat something, that thing is, for example, are cockroaches, can we eat cockroaches? Edible? Edible? Inedible. These are all very important words. Yes? But some people in Thailand eat cockroaches. So almost everything is edible. Right? So edible, inedible, something that we can eat is edible. Is this edible? Can I eat this? Is it edible? No, that's inedible. How about something that I can drink? Drinkable? We say potable. Is it potable? Like potion, you know potion? Potion of life? Is it potable? Or non-potable? We don't say unpotable. Non-potable. So we have many villages do not have access. Millions of people do not have access to what? Clean drinking water. many people in the world do not have access to clean drinking water. Water that is potable, that you can drink. So non-potable water, because the water is not pure, and there is no water treatment facility or purification. Something we can touch and we can feel is something we can feel and touch is touchable? Yeah. You have the word?
Hi.
Hi there.
Chocolate.
Wow. Something we can
Chocolate.
touch is chocolate and feel.
Thank you.
It's not only edible, but it's
Chocolate.
touchable, huh? And it's amazing. That's why I love
And
George.
Ray, you get a choice of anything.
Amazing. I was wondering, like, oh, what's happening to me? George, thank you very much. I kind of love this one.
It's like a turtle.
Yeah, I got a turtle. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, George, something that we can touch is
It's an object.
we have we have edible, potable, audible, visible, and
Concrete. Tangible? Well, you've got tangible written there.
yeah. Is tangible. And the opposite of tangible would be intangible. So tangible is not just something I can touch, like touchable, but the difference between these two products is quite tangible. So if sometimes you can feel it. It's quite tangible difference. Something, it's like you can touch it. And intangible. So something I can see is visible. Come on! Something I she's like, I do that all the time. Something I can see is
Visible.
visible. Something I cannot see is
Invisible.
invisible. Something I can hear is
Audible.
audible. That music
Audible.
is audible, right? Something I cannot hear is inaudible. Something I can eat is edible. Edible.
Edible.
When you look at different eating habits in the world, you see everything is edible. People eat snakes and frogs and all kinds of things. Horses and camels and dogs and cats and scorpions. I don't know. People eat all kinds of exotic, weird things, right? So everything is edible. Inedible? Potable. Something I can drink. Non-potable, something I cannot. Tangible, I can touch. So tangible also is not just something I can touch, but we say the tangible difference. The difference is quite tangible. It means it's, you can feel it, you can understand it. There is a huge difference between these two. It's quite tangible. Yeah? So, and something that is intangible. And of course, we have so many edibles, but the feelings. We see things, we hear things, we eat things and taste things, we touch things. What else? What are the 5 tenses? Feel, touch, hear, see, smell. Yeah? Something that has an odor, but the water is water. Does it have a color? Is colorless and also odorless, right? Odorless. It doesn't smell. Water is odorless, no odor. It's odorless. Odor means like the smell, but we don't say smell less. But we have smelly feet, right? Get your stinking smelly feet off the table.
Ah.
Yeah? Get your stinking, smelly feet off the table.
Ah, okay.
Yeah? When something stinks, say it stinks. It stinks. Means it has such a bad smell. Smelly. Huh? Smelly feet. Now for smell, because I said this, let me give you a few words for smell, and then we'll move on, because we're not talking about tastes today and tenses, but you know, since I gave you this word, I'll leave a few words with that. So, you know, for smell, and also a couple of words with perception and perceive, so that we know that too. And then we'll call it a day. Smell, aroma, fragrance, scent.
Popular.
Yeah, well, you know, perfume is close to fragrance, but a little different. So fragrance has two meanings. One, fragrance is perfume also. You want to buy a new fragrance? Buy a new perfume. But the fragrance of flowers. Fragrance of flowers. Aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Smell is very broad. It could be good, it could be bad. Smell of a rose, smell of smelly feet. But usually when you say smelly, that's negative. It means stinking. So bad smell is stink and stench. So stinking, so this is a noun. The stench of garbage. Garbage. Stench of garbage. It means the bad smell of garbage, right? Stenchful. 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 Rank smell. So stink is a rank smell, which means here bad smell. Rancid. So, here, when I say the difference is significant or insignificant, tangible or intangible, it means significant. Significant or insignificant. Important or unimportant. Negligible. Negligible difference. Now, I'll get back to this real quick. So, I wanted to make a flashback because I want to wipe this part. That's why I put these words here. So if you say between A and B, you want to buy two, let's say, skin creams, products. And you look at this and say, there's not much difference. It's intangible. Like I've tried both on my skin, but the difference is quite intangible. But this one is much more expensive in price. But the effect is quite, the difference is intangible when it comes to actual effect on your skin. It's intangible. It means that the difference is not significant. It's not very significant. It's not, there's not a huge difference. difference is quite insignificant. Means not very significant, not very important, not a major difference. In fact, the difference is quite negligible. Something you can neglect, something that's very small. It's very negligible, small and unimportant, insignificant. So if the difference is negligible, it's negligible. Say negligible.
Negligible. Negligible. Negligible.
Negligible.
Negligible. Negligible.
Negligible. You know, negligible is something that you can neglect. You know, neglect? Neglect is a very good word. Don't neglect me. Don't neglect me. People usually feel neglected after marriage. People usually neglect each other after marriage. They are love, hotly in love, and every day call like a million times. But then when you get married, John, let me sleep. You feel neglected, no attention. Yeah? Look who's here! Our graduate finally made it to the class. It's amazing. Did you go to Saki's brunch? Or did you need your beauty sleep?
Yes.
That's exactly what I guessed.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming anyway on your graduation day. That's Kay from Mexico.
Yes.
No, from California.
Yes.
So, negligible. So the difference is quite negligible. Means it's very small and insignificant. Remember, insignificant. Guys, instead of saying small, use bigger words. It's quite insignificant. Insignificant. Negligible.
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 Yes. Say, I feel neglected. I feel neglected. You know? Means I feel ignored. Ignored. Yes? I feel ignored. Like when you ignore somebody, say ignore him. Don't pay attention. Okay? You're not graduating. You should come back 2015. I don't understand. I don't care what you're doing. It's a full-time job.
You should care.
No, you should come back. So, when you neglect someone, you don't pay attention, right? I feel ignored. I feel neglected. If something is negligible, it's insignificant, not important. Little. The difference is quite negligible. It's insignificant. Now, so smell, aroma. Aroma of coffee, like in the morning, freshly brewed coffee, right? The aroma. Here we have the shop aroma. It's because of this smell. Aroma of vegetables. The aroma. And fragrance, of course, fragrance of flowers. Also, fragrance is known as perfume. She loves perfume. Have you watched the movie Scent of a Woman? By Al Pacino? So, Scent of a Woman? It's a very famous, popular movie by Al Pacino. So he was blind, but he could smell the presence of women. And he is very strong when his sensation. And it's a beautiful movie. I think you should watch it, Scent of a Woman. So sense is also good. But bad smell was stink, stench, the stench of garbage, the stench of...
Reek? You can also say reek.
Yeah, something reeks of, but that's not necessarily bad smell, but you reek of alcohol.